Noah Bennett realized he'd made a terrible mistake the second the iron gates closed behind him. The sound echoed through the rain like a prison door sealing shut. Too late to run. Too late to change his mind. And far too late for a pregnant Omega with nowhere else to go. Rainwater dripped from the hood of Noah's oversized sweatshirt as he stood frozen at the bottom of the massive marble staircase inside the Volkov estate. His sneakers left wet marks across the polished black floor. Everything around him looked cold enough to cut skin. Towering ceilings. Dark glass. Silver chandeliers glowing like frozen stars. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like the kind of place people disappeared in. Noah pulled one trembling hand toward his stomach without thinking. 10 weeks. The baby was barely the size of a strawberry, yet it already controlled every decision he made. Don't get attached. Don't trust alphas. Don't let anyone know. Especially not men like Roman Volkov. You're late. The voice rolled through the entrance hall low and smooth, carrying the kind of quiet authority that made Noah's pulse stumble. Roman Volkov stood at the top of the stairs in a black dress shirt with the sleeves rolled to his forearms. No tie. No jacket. Still terrifying. He was taller than Noah expected. Broad shoulders. Sharp jaw. Dark hair pushed carelessly back like he'd run his hands through it one too many times. But it was his eyes that made Noah stop breathing for half a second. Pale gray. Cold enough to feel in his bones. The stories online never captured what was wrong with Roman Volkov in person. He was too calm. Men like him weren't supposed to move that quietly. Noah lowered his gaze immediately. The bus was delayed. Roman descended the stairs slowly, his polished shoes silent against the marble. Noah tried not to react when the Alpha stopped directly in front of him. Cedarwood. Smoke. Winter air. Roman's scent wrapped around him instantly, expensive and dark and dangerously clean. Noah hated how his exhausted Omega instincts softened toward it for 1 week, humiliating second. He stepped back fast enough to make Roman notice. That was the problem with fear. Truly dangerous men always noticed it. Roman's gaze lingered on Noah's face longer than necessary. Then lower. To the soaked sweatshirt hanging loose over his thin frame. To the hand still hovering near his stomach. Noah dropped it immediately. How old are you? Roman asked. 24. You look younger. Noah swallowed. He heard judgment in everything now. Ever since the positive test. Ever since Derek looked at the ultrasound photo and decided Noah was suddenly inconvenient. The memory still clawed at him late at night. Derek stepping backward instead of forward. Derek refusing to touch him after that. Derek disappearing 3 days later along with half their savings and every promise he'd ever made. Don't trust alphas. Roman tilted his head slightly, studying him in complete silence. Noah felt exposed under that stare. Seen too clearly. It made his skin prickle. Somewhere deeper inside the mansion, a child laughed softly. The sound vanished almost immediately. Roman finally stepped aside. Follow me. Noah moved quickly, gripping the strap of his duffel bag hard enough to hurt his fingers. The estate was impossibly quiet as Roman led him through long hallways lined with dark wood and floor-to-ceiling windows streaked with rain. Noah expected bodyguards. Noise. Chaos. Instead, everything felt controlled down to the air itself. That frightened him more. You'll take care of my daughter during the evenings, Roman said without looking back. She doesn't like strangers. I'm good with kids. Roman glanced at him over one shoulder then. Briefly. We'll see. They entered a warm, softly lit bedroom at the far end of the hall. A little girl sat near the window in dinosaur pajamas, clutching a stuffed rabbit against her chest. She couldn't have been older than 5. Her dark curls framed a small, pale face that instantly tightened with anxiety when she saw Noah. Roman's expression changed the moment he looked at her. Not softer exactly. Worse. Protective. Possessive. Noah felt it immediately, that dangerous shift only certain alphas carried. The kind willing to burn the world down over one person. Eva, Roman said quietly. This is Noah. The little girl stared at Noah for a long time without speaking. Then suddenly her small nose twitched once. Twice. Roman noticed too. Noah saw it happen. The alpha went completely still behind him. The air changed. Sharp and heavy all at once. Roman stepped closer slowly. Too close. Noah's heartbeat slammed against his ribs. Why? Roman asked softly. Do you smell like fear? Noah forgot how to breathe for a second. Roman stood close enough now that the scent of cedar and cold rain wrapped around him completely, heavy and suffocating in the quiet nursery. The little girl on the rug watched both of them with huge dark eyes, clutching her stuffed rabbit tighter against her chest. Noah forced his fingers to loosen around the strap of his duffel bag before Roman noticed how badly they were shaking. I don't know what you mean. It was a terrible lie. Roman knew it too. Noah saw it in the slight narrowing of those pale gray eyes. But instead of pushing harder, the alpha crouched beside his daughter first. The movement caught Noah off guard. Men like Roman Volkov weren't supposed to kneel on hardwood floors helping tiny girls fix twisted bunny ears. Eva, Roman said quietly, smoothing a curl away from her forehead. Do you want Noah to stay tonight? Eva stared at Noah another long moment. Then, very slowly, she nodded once. Noah blinked in surprise. Roman exhaled softly through his nose like something inside him had loosened. That's the first time she's answered anyone this week. Noah looked between them carefully. She doesn't talk much? Not anymore. Roman's voice changed when he spoke to his daughter. Lower. Less sharp around the edges. It did strange things to Noah's chest. Eva climbed to her feet without warning and crossed the room toward him. Noah froze instinctively when small fingers grabbed the sleeve of his sweatshirt. You smell warm, she whispered. The words were so soft Noah almost thought he imagined them. Roman went completely still behind her. Noah's stomach tightened instantly. Omega instincts screamed danger beneath his skin. Don't let them notice anything. Don't let them connect the scent. He forced a careful smile at Eva. That's probably the rain. But the little girl shook her head stubbornly. No. Like pancakes. Roman looked away first. Somehow that felt worse. An hour later, Noah stood alone in the guest bathroom, gripping the marble sink, while nausea rolled through him in violent waves. Morning sickness at 8:30 at night. Perfect. He pressed one hand against his mouth, breathing slowly through the dizziness. The estate was too warm, too rich with alpha scent. His body was reacting to everything now. Stress. Fear. Roman. Especially Roman. Noah splashed cold water across his face and stared at himself in the mirror. Pale skin. Tired blue eyes. Blonde hair damp from rain and humidity curling against his forehead. He looked fragile. Pregnant. Vulnerable. Exactly the kind of Omega he promised himself he would never become. A knock sounded outside the door. Noah jumped so hard his shoulder hit the counter. There's soup downstairs. Roman's voice came through the wood. Calm. Controlled. You haven't eaten. Noah closed his eyes briefly. How did he notice everything? I'm not hungry. Silence lingered outside the bathroom for several seconds. Then Roman spoke again, quieter this time. You almost collapsed carrying your bag upstairs. Noah's throat tightened unexpectedly. Nobody had paid attention like that in a very long time. Derek certainly hadn't. Noah still remembered standing in their tiny apartment kitchen 3 months ago, clutching the pregnancy test, while Derek stared at him like he was a problem that needed solving. You should have been more careful, Noah? As if Noah had made that baby alone. As if fear erased love that easily. Noah. Roman's voice pulled him back hard. Open the door. Something dangerous lived beneath the calm in that sentence. Not anger exactly. Authority. The kind people obeyed without realizing it. Noah hesitated too long. Then he unlocked the bathroom door before he could talk himself out of it. Roman stood outside, holding a steaming bowl in one hand. Dark dress, shirt rolled to his forearms. Expensive watch glinting beneath soft hallway lights. Noah noticed absurd details when he was nervous. The faint scar near Roman's wrist. The dampness still darkening his hair near the collar. The exhaustion hidden beneath all that terrifying control. Roman looked at Noah's face once and frowned slightly. You're pale. I'm fine. No, the word landed softly. You're not. Noah hated how close that came to sounding like concern. Roman stepped inside without waiting for permission and set the soup beside the sink. Chicken broth. Crackers on the side. Plain enough not to upset a sensitive stomach. Noah stared at it in silence. Another thing Roman shouldn't know. Another thing he somehow did anyway. Why are you being nice to me? The question slipped out before Noah could stop it. Roman leaned one shoulder against the bathroom doorway, studying him carefully. You flinch every time someone walks too close to you, he said quietly. And my daughter smiled for the first time in months after meeting you. Noah looked down immediately, because something inside him hurt all at once. Roman noticed that too. Of course he did. The alpha's gaze dropped briefly to Noah's stomach before returning to his face. Slow. Intentional. Dangerous. Who taught you? Roman asked softly. To look this scared all the time? Noah should have left the next morning. Every instinct told him to. The Volkov estate was too quiet, too expensive, too dangerous for someone like him. But Eva smiled at him during breakfast, and Roman noticed before Noah did. It happened so fast Noah almost missed it. One tiny upward curve of the little girl's mouth, while Noah cut strawberries into heart shapes beside her plate. Roman sat across the long dining table dressed in charcoal gray, one hand wrapped around a black coffee he never seemed to drink. His expression didn't change. Not really. But the entire atmosphere shifted. Softer around the edges. Noah felt it immediately. The staff did too. A maid nearly dropped a serving tray when Roman quietly said, "Leave the pancakes." Nobody spoke after that. They just moved faster. Quieter. Noah kept his eyes on Eva's breakfast because looking at Roman too long was becoming a problem. The alpha watched everything. How Noah pushed food around his own plate instead of eating it. How he pressed discreet fingers against his stomach whenever nausea rolled through him. How he startled anytime footsteps approached from behind. It was exhausting being seen that clearly. "You don't like blueberries?" Roman asked suddenly. Noah blinked. "What?" Roman nodded toward Noah's untouched fruit bowl. "You separate them every morning." Noah stared down in horror before realizing Roman was right. He'd done it unconsciously. Tiny neat piles of blueberries pushed to the side. A nervous habit from childhood. His mother used to laugh softly and steal them off his plate before she died. Noah swallowed hard. "I just don't like them." Roman hummed once like he didn't believe him. Then he slid his own untouched blueberries across the table toward Eva without another word. Such a small thing. Stupid, really. But Noah couldn't remember the last time someone noticed what he disliked without making him explain himself first. The dangerous part wasn't Roman's power. It was this. The quiet attention. The way Noah's body was beginning to relax around him against all logic. By afternoon, rain hammered against the estate windows hard enough to blur the forest outside into dark watercolor shadows. Eva sat curled beside Noah in the library while he read aloud from a picture book about sea monsters. Halfway through the story, he realized the child had fallen asleep against his side. Noah smiled faintly and brushed curls from her forehead. She usually fights sleep for hours. Noah looked up too fast. Roman stood in the doorway holding a phone loosely at his side. Noah hadn't even heard him enter. "Sorry," Noah whispered instinctively, careful not to wake her. Roman's gaze lingered on the sight of Eva sleeping against Noah's chest. Something unreadable moved behind his eyes, then vanished just as quickly. "Don't apologize." The room fell quiet except for the storm outside. Noah became painfully aware of everything at once. The scent of rain drifting through cracked windows. The warmth of Eva curled against him. Roman standing there in rolled sleeves and dark slacks looking less like a Mafia boss and more like a man who hadn't slept properly in years. Dangerous. Gentle. Both real. Noah hated that contradiction most of all. Roman crossed the room slowly and crouched beside the couch. Close enough now that Noah caught traces of cedarwood beneath the clean scent of expensive soap. "She likes you," Roman said quietly. Noah looked down at Eva. "She's lonely. So are you." Noah's breath caught. Roman said things too directly sometimes. Like he could peel through layers Noah spent months building. "You don't know me." "No," Roman agreed softly. "But I know fear when I see it." Noah looked away immediately. The storm outside cracked with thunder, and before he could stop himself, his entire body flinched. Roman noticed. Of course he did. The alpha's expression darkened slightly. Not angry. Protective. That somehow scared Noah more. "Did someone hurt you?" Noah's throat tightened painfully. Too many memories rushed up at once. Derek slamming apartment doors. Strange alpha voices outside motel rooms. The cold panic of realizing he'd been sold for money he'd never even seen. "Noah." Roman's voice dropped lower. "Careful now. Dangerous in a completely different way. Look at me." Noah did, and immediately regretted it. Roman was too close. Too focused. Noah felt caught inside that pale gray stare like prey, realizing too late the wolf had already circled behind him. "Nobody touches what's under my roof without permission," Roman said quietly. "Understand." The word should have sounded controlling. Possessive. Maybe even threatening. Instead, something warm and aching spread through Noah's chest, so suddenly it terrified him. Because for one horrible second, he felt safe. Roman's phone vibrated sharply in his hand. The alpha glanced at the screen, and the entire room changed. Every trace of softness vanished from his face instantly. Ice replacing warmth so fast it made Noah's stomach drop. Roman stood slowly. "Stay here," he said. Noah noticed the shift in the guards outside the library seconds later. Faster footsteps. Tense voices downstairs. Something was wrong. Roman reached the doorway before stopping without turning around. "And Noah?" Noah looked up. "How did a man like Derek Lawson find you?" Noah's blood turned cold. He had never told Roman Derek's name. Noah stopped hearing the storm after Roman said Derek's name. Everything inside him went cold all at once. The library suddenly felt too small, too warm, too dangerous. Roman turned fully this time, pale gray eyes fixed on Noah with terrifying calm. "How do you know that name?" Noah asked quietly. Roman studied him for a second too long before answering. "Because Derek Lawson has spent the last 3 weeks asking people if anyone's seen a blonde omega with blue eyes." Noah's stomach dropped so hard it hurt. No, Derek didn't look for people unless he wanted something. Roman continued watching him carefully. "He owes money." Noah looked away immediately. Of course he did. Derek always owed someone something. Rent, gambling debts, loyalty, and Noah forced out. Roman's voice stayed even. "And men connected to him started sniffing around my territory yesterday." My territory. Noah should have hated how possessive that sounded. Instead, panic climbed higher beneath his skin. Derek found him. Somehow Derek found him. Eva stirred softly against Noah's chest, still half asleep. The little girl tightened tiny fingers in Noah's sleeve like she sensed his fear. Roman noticed that too. "Nobody's getting near this house," the alpha said quietly. Noah laughed once under his breath before he could stop himself. Not because anything was funny, because fear was starting to crack open into something uglier. "You don't understand." Roman's expression hardened slightly. "Then explain it to me." Noah stood too fast, nearly waking Eva completely. "I can't stay here." "Noah, I said I can't." Panic sharpened his voice enough to make Eva flinch awake in confusion. Noah immediately crouched beside her, guilt crashing through him. Hey, I'm sorry." Eva blinked sleepily up at him. Then she reached both tiny arms around Noah's neck without hesitation. The simple trust in that movement nearly destroyed him. Roman watched silently from across the room. Noah could feel it. That dangerous, focused attention pressing against his skin again. "She doesn't do that with anyone," Roman said softly. Noah closed his eyes briefly. This was getting bad. Worse than bad. He was becoming attached. To Eva. To this house. To Roman standing there looking at him like Noah mattered more than he should. Dangerous emotional attachments always ended the same way. Noah knew that now. "I'll leave tomorrow morning," Noah whispered. Eva immediately tightened her hold around his neck harder. "No." The tiny broken word made Noah's chest ache. Roman crossed the room slowly. "Nobody asked you to leave. Derek will keep looking." "Let him." Noah looked up sharply. Roman's expression never changed. Calm. Controlled. Absolute. "He won't touch you." Noah hated that his omega instincts reacted to those words instantly. Warmth spread beneath his ribs before fear crushed it back down again. Roman stepped closer until Noah could smell cedarwood and winter air beneath the storm lingering on his clothes. "What did he do to you?" Noah's throat tightened painfully. Too many memories. Motel rooms. Strange alpha scents. Locked doors. Derek saying, "Just relax, baby. We need the money," while Noah stood frozen in borrowed clothes feeling sick with shame. "Nothing," Noah lied. Roman's jaw flexed once. "That's not true." Silence stretched tight between them. Then Roman's phone rang again. This time he answered immediately without taking his eyes off Noah. "Speak." The voice on the other end talked fast enough that Noah only caught fragments. "Shipment. Warehouse. Lawson." Roman's expression darkened with every passing second. Finally, the alpha said quietly, "Don't move until I get there." He ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Noah's pulse started racing again. "What happened?" Roman looked at him for a long moment before answering. "Derek tried selling information about you tonight." Noah felt physically sick. "To who?" Roman didn't answer right away. That silence terrified Noah more than words could have. "Roman." The alpha's gaze dropped briefly to Noah's stomach. One glance. Barely there. But Noah noticed. "Someone," Roman said softly, "offered a lot of money for a pregnant omega matching your description." The room tilted slightly beneath Noah's feet. Roman stepped forward immediately, one hand gripping Noah's elbow before he could fall. Warm, solid, steady. Noah hated how instinctively his body leaned toward him for balance. Roman noticed that too. Of course he did. Look at me, Roman said quietly. Noah forced himself to meet those pale gray eyes again. Did Derek know about the baby? Noah's lips parted. No sound came out at first. Then finally, barely above a whisper, I never told him. Roman went completely still. The storm outside cracked like a gunshot against the windows. And for the first time since Noah arrived at the estate, real fear entered Roman Volkov's eyes. Roman Volkov did not look like a man who scared easily. That was what made it terrifying. Noah couldn't stop staring at him after the words left his mouth. I never told him. The storm outside shook the windows again, but Roman didn't blink. Didn't move. Something colder than anger settled over him instead. Noah felt it immediately. The entire atmosphere in the library tightened like invisible wire pulled too hard. Eva looked between them quietly, sensing the shift even if she couldn't understand it. Roman finally crouched in front of Noah again, one large hand still steady at his elbow. You're sure? Noah nodded once. Derek didn't know. Roman's jaw tightened. Then somebody else did. Fear curled sharply through Noah's stomach. Somebody else. Not Derek. Not random. Intentional. Roman rose to his feet slowly, already pulling his phone back out. Stay with Eva. Roman, stay here. The tone left no room for argument. Noah watched him disappear down the hallway, dark shirt vanishing into shadows and gold light while thunder rolled overhead. Somehow the room felt colder the second he left. Eva climbed quietly into Noah's lap a minute later like she already belonged there. Noah held her automatically, fingers smoothing through soft dark curls while his thoughts spiraled too fast to catch. Somebody knew. Somebody wanted the baby. Panic rose hard enough to make him dizzy again. He barely noticed Eva pressing her tiny hand against the center of his chest. Your heart is loud, she whispered. Noah forced a weak smile. Sorry. Daddy's gets loud too. Noah looked down at her carefully. When? Eva played with the sleeve of his sweatshirt before answering. When he thinks people are leaving. Something inside Noah hurt unexpectedly. He looked toward the doorway Roman disappeared through. Dangerous. Powerful. Feared by everyone in the city. And somehow still capable of being lonely enough for a 5-year-old child to notice. Noah hated how much that thought stayed with him. Hours passed slowly after that. The storm softened into steady rain sometime after midnight. Eva fell asleep curled against Noah again while the estate around them remained unnaturally awake. Footsteps moved constantly downstairs. Doors opening. Low voices. The distant sound of engines outside the gates. Roman still hadn't returned. Noah should have gone to bed. Instead, he sat awake in the dim library holding a sleeping child while anxiety crawled beneath his skin like static. He told himself he was worried about the baby. About Derek. About whoever was looking for him. Not Roman. Definitely not Roman. The front doors finally opened close to 1 in the morning. Noah heard it instantly. Heard the silence that followed too. Heavy. Sharp. Wrong. A few minutes later, Roman appeared in the library doorway again. Noah's breath caught before he could stop it. Roman looked exhausted. Not physically. Something deeper. Rain darkened the shoulders of his coat. A faint bruise colored one side of his jaw beneath the soft amber lighting. Noah immediately stood too fast. What happened? Roman's eyes lifted toward him slowly. For one strange second, Noah thought the alpha looked relieved just seeing him there. Eva asleep? Roman asked quietly. Noah nodded. Roman crossed the room carefully and lifted his daughter into his arms with surprising gentleness. Eva barely stirred against his chest. Noah watched the way Roman adjusted the blanket around her automatically. Protective instinct radiated from him so naturally it almost hurt to look at. Roman glanced toward Noah once. Come with me. Noah followed him upstairs through quiet hallways glowing gold against the dark storm outside. Roman carried Eva into her bedroom first, tucking her carefully beneath soft blankets before brushing a kiss against her forehead. Noah froze in the doorway watching it happen. Something about seeing a man like Roman Volkov act so tenderly made his chest ache in dangerous ways. Roman stepped back into the hallway and closed the door softly behind him, then finally looked at Noah directly. Derek's dead. Noah stopped breathing. Roman's expression remained unreadable. Calm. Too calm. Car accident, he added after a second. About 4 hours ago. Noah stared at him in complete silence. Derek was dead. Just like that. No warning. No explanation. 1 second existing somewhere in the world and the next gone. Noah should have felt relief. Instead, all he felt was cold confusion twisting through his stomach. Roman watched every emotion cross Noah's face carefully. You think I did it? Noah looked up sharply. I didn't say that. You thought it. Silence. Roman stepped closer slowly. Noah. The way he said his name made something dangerous pull tight beneath Noah's ribs again. I don't kill people because they hurt my feelings. Noah swallowed hard. Hurt my feelings. As if Roman even had those. But then the alpha reached up unexpectedly and brushed rainwater from Noah's temple with rough, careful fingers. The touch lasted barely a second. Still, Noah's entire body reacted. Heat flooding his skin. Pulse stumbling hard. Roman noticed instantly. Of course he did. His pale gray eyes darkened slightly as his hand lowered between them. You're shaking again, Roman said softly. Noah stepped back too quickly. I should sleep. Roman didn't stop him. Somehow that felt worse. Noah turned toward the guest room hallway before Roman spoke again behind him. Quiet. Controlled. Devastating. The doctor appointment is tomorrow at 11. Noah froze completely. What? Prenatal appointment, Roman said. You missed the last one. Noah turned slowly, horror crawling up his spine. How do you know about that? Roman held his gaze in suffocating silence for one long, unbearable second. Then finally, because someone's been watching you long before Derek ever did. Noah barely slept after that. Because someone's been watching you long before Derek ever did. The words stayed under his skin like splinters all night long. By morning, the Volkov estate felt different. Tighter. Guards moved through the halls more frequently. Black SUVs lined the circular driveway outside beneath a cold gray sky. Roman's world was shifting around him again, and Noah could feel it without anyone saying a word. He stood in the guest bathroom staring at his reflection while steam curled around the mirror. His hand drifted unconsciously over the small curve beneath his sweatshirt. 10 weeks. Almost 11. The baby was real enough now that even his body moved differently. Slower. More careful. Noah pressed trembling fingers against the counter. Somebody's been watching you. You'll make yourself sick if you keep holding your breath. Noah spun too quickly. Roman stood in the half-open doorway wearing a black wool coat over dark clothes, one hand wrapped around a cup of coffee. Noah's pulse immediately stumbled. Roman always entered rooms like he already belonged inside people's lives. You shouldn't sneak up on people, Noah muttered. Roman's gaze lingered on his pale face. You shouldn't look terrified every time I speak to you. Noah looked away first. Because the worst part was, he wasn't terrified of Roman anymore. Not completely. And that felt infinitely more dangerous. The drive to the doctor's office happened in silence thick enough to choke on. Rain streaked the SUV windows while the city blurred outside in cold silver smears. Noah sat rigid beside Roman in the back seat, trying not to react to the alpha's scent surrounding him in the confined space. Cedarwood. Smoke. Winter air. Safe. The last thought hit Noah hard enough to make him angry with himself. Roman noticed his tension instantly. You're nauseous. I'm fine. Noah. The way Roman said his name should not have felt that gentle. Noah tightened his fingers around the edge of his hoodie sleeve. Can you stop doing that? Roman glanced toward him. Doing what? Acting like you care. Silence filled the SUV immediately. Noah regretted the words the second they left his mouth. Roman looked out the rain-streaked window for several long seconds before answering quietly. I wouldn't bring you somewhere unsafe. Noah's chest tightened painfully. Because Roman said it like a promise. The private clinic sat hidden high above downtown Manhattan inside a glass tower Noah could never afford to step inside under normal circumstances. Nurses lowered their voices when Roman entered. Security guards straightened instantly. Everyone watched him carefully without staring too long. Power clung to him naturally. Noah hated how much safer he felt walking beside that power. The ultrasound room smelled faintly like lavender and disinfectant. Noah sat frozen on the exam table while the technician prepared the machine quietly. Roman stood near the window at first, hands tucked into the pockets of his dark coat. Controlled. Distant. Noah preferred him that way. Safer that way. You can wait outside, Noah said softly without looking at him. Roman didn't move. No, Noah's heartbeat sped up. You don't need to be here. I know. Noah finally looked at him then. Roman's expression remained calm, but something unfamiliar flickered underneath it. Not dominance. Not authority. Want. Dangerous, terrifying want. The technician cleared her throat awkwardly before applying cool gel across Noah's stomach. Noah immediately flinched from the cold. Roman stepped closer without thinking. Noah felt him beside the table now. Warm. Steady. Too close. Then the room filled with sound. Fast. Tiny. Alive. Noah forgot how to breathe. The heartbeat echoed through the room like something sacred. Tears burned his eyes before he could stop them. 11 weeks. His baby. Real. Alive. Roman went completely still beside him. Noah turned his head slightly and saw the exact moment something inside the alpha broke open. Roman stared at the screen with an expression Noah had never seen before. Not cold. Not dangerous. Devastated. Like the sight physically hurt him somehow. The technician smiled softly. Strong heartbeat. Noah wiped quickly at his eyes, embarrassed by the sudden emotion. But Roman still hadn't looked away from the screen. Roman. The alpha finally spoke, voice rougher than usual. How long were you alone? Noah blinked. What? Roman dragged his gaze slowly from the monitor to Noah's face. How long? He repeated quietly. Did you think nobody would protect you? Noah's chest cracked painfully at the question, because no one had ever asked it before. Not really. Noah opened his mouth to answer, but movement outside the glass hallway caught Roman's attention instantly. His entire body stiffened. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Roman stepped in front of Noah automatically. Protective. Possessive. Dangerous. Noah's pulse spiked hard. A man stood outside the ultrasound room staring directly through the glass at Noah. Blonde hair. Expensive suit. Familiar blue eyes. Noah stopped breathing. Because Derek Lawson was supposed to be dead. Noah's body reacted before his mind did. Panic slammed through him so violently his vision blurred at the edges. Derek stood outside the ultrasound room alive and smiling faintly through the glass like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't disappeared. Like Noah hadn't spent months trying to survive the wreckage he left behind. Roman moved instantly. 1 second Noah could see Derek clearly, and the next Roman stepped fully in front of him, broad shoulders blocking the entire doorway. Protective instinct rolled off the alpha so heavily it changed the air inside the room. Stay behind me, Roman said quietly. Noah hated that the command immediately made him feel safer. Derek pushed open the door a second later with the same easy smile Noah used to mistake for kindness. Blonde hair perfectly styled. Expensive navy coat. Blue eyes warm enough to fool strangers. Noah knew better now. There you are, sweetheart. Noah physically flinched at the nickname. Roman noticed. Derek noticed that Roman noticed. The smile on Derek's face tightened slightly. You told me he was dead, Noah whispered. Derek looked offended. Baby, there was a misunderstanding. Roman's voice cut through the room like ice. You have 30 seconds before I remove you myself. Derek finally looked at Roman directly. Something ugly flickered beneath his polished expression, then disappeared just as quickly. Mr. Volkov. Roman didn't move. 25 seconds. Noah's pulse hammered painfully while tension coiled tighter between the two alphas. The technician quietly slipped from the room without anyone noticing. Noah barely realized they were alone now. Derek's gaze shifted toward Noah again, then lower, toward the ultrasound monitor still glowing beside the bed. Something dark and calculating moved behind his eyes. Roman stepped sideways immediately, blocking that view too. Possessive. Instant. Noah's throat tightened unexpectedly. Derek laughed softly under his breath. Interesting. Roman's pale gray eyes never left him. 20 seconds. You know, Derek said casually. Noah used to cry if I ignored his texts for too long. Noah felt sick. Roman's expression didn't change, but the room somehow became harder to breathe in. Derek smiled toward Noah again. You disappeared without saying goodbye, sweetheart. Stop calling me that. The words came out sharper than Noah intended. Derek blinked once in surprise, then smiled wider. There you are. Noah used to hate conflict, used to shrink from it. Roman's presence changed something dangerous inside him. Because standing behind the alpha now, Noah realized for the first time in months that Derek suddenly looked small. Roman finally spoke again. Quietly. 10 seconds. Derek's eyes narrowed slightly. You think this is about him? Noah's stomach tightened. Roman didn't react outwardly, but Noah sensed the shift immediately. Focus sharpening. Predatory attention locking into place. Derek tilted his head. Noah never told you. Told me what? Roman asked softly. Noah stopped breathing. Derek smiled. That people were looking for him before he ever met me. Silence crashed through the room. Noah felt it physically. Roman turned his head just enough to look back at Noah over one shoulder. Confusion flickered behind those pale gray eyes for the first time since Noah met him. Derek stepped closer before Roman could stop him completely. I protected him. Noah laughed bitterly. You sold me. I kept you alive. The words hit harder than Noah expected, because part of him used to believe them. Derek looked at Roman now with something close to amusement. You think he showed up at your estate by accident? Roman's body went completely still. Noah's pulse stumbled violently. What does that mean? Noah whispered. Derek's smile faded slightly. You really don't know. Roman grabbed Derek by the front of his coat before Noah even processed the movement. Not violent. Controlled. But terrifying. Finish that sentence carefully, Roman said quietly. Derek looked down at Roman's hand once before meeting his eyes again. Someone's been tracking Omega bloodlines connected to your family for years. Noah felt the room tilt beneath him. Roman's expression darkened instantly. You're lying. Am I? Derek looked toward Noah again. Ask him why your pregnancy scent reacts to his alpha pheromones differently than it should. Noah's breath caught painfully. Roman's scent. The comet triggered. The impossible pull Noah felt from the beginning. No. Derek smiled faintly at Noah's silence. See? He feels it too. Roman shoved Derek backward hard enough to force distance between them. Get out. Derek straightened his coat calmly. You should run, Noah. Noah stared at him in horror. Derek's expression softened unexpectedly then. Almost sad. Because once Roman figures out what this baby actually means, his eyes lifted slowly toward Roman. He'll never let you leave. Derek walked out before either of them moved to stop him. Silence swallowed the room immediately afterward. Noah couldn't breathe properly. Roman stood motionless beside the ultrasound bed, broad shoulders tense beneath his dark coat. Noah waited for him to say something. Anything. But Roman only stared at the fading heartbeat, still glowing softly on the monitor. Then finally, very quietly, did you know? The question stayed between them like a wound left open too long. Did you know? Noah stared at Roman across the silent ultrasound room, while rain crawled slowly down the glass windows behind him. The heartbeat monitor still flickered softly beside the bed. Tiny. Fragile. Alive. Noah suddenly hated how exposed he felt sitting there with gel still cold against his skin and Roman looking at him like the answer might break something important. No. Noah whispered finally. Roman held his gaze for several long seconds. Noah could actually see the moment the alpha decided whether to believe him. Then Roman looked away first. Somehow that hurt more. Roman. The alpha dragged one hand slowly across his jaw before speaking. I need you to tell me everything Derek ever said to you. Noah swallowed hard. That's not a small conversation. I know. Roman's voice softened unexpectedly. But I think someone built this long before either of us realized it. Fear curled low beneath Noah's ribs again. Not sharp panic this time. Worse. The kind that came with realizing your life might not belong entirely to you anymore. Roman stepped closer to the exam table slowly. Careful now. Like he understood Noah might run if pushed too hard. I'm trying to protect you. Noah laughed quietly under his breath. Tired. Fragile. That's the problem. Roman frowned slightly. What does that mean? Noah looked down at his hands. You make me feel safe. Silence followed immediately. Heavy. Dangerous. Noah regretted the honesty the second it left his mouth. Roman didn't answer right away. When Noah finally looked back up, something inside the alpha's expression had shifted completely. Softer. Hungrier. Like Noah had just handed him something precious without meaning to. Noah. The way Roman said his name should not have felt like a touch. Noah's pulse stumbled hard. Roman moved closer until Noah could smell cedarwood and winter smoke wrapping around him again. Warm. Familiar now. Too familiar. You shouldn't trust me that easily, Roman said quietly. Noah's chest tightened painfully because Roman sounded almost angry about it. I'm trying not to. Roman looked at him for one long, unbearable second before lifting a hand slowly toward Noah's face. Noah should have flinched. Instead, he stayed perfectly still while rough fingers brushed gently beneath one eye, wiping away tears Noah hadn't realized were there. The tenderness of it nearly destroyed him. Roman noticed the way Noah stopped breathing. There you are, he murmured softly. Noah blinked in confusion. What? Roman's thumb lingered briefly against his cheek before falling away. You hide every emotion until it hurts you. Noah stared at him speechless. Nobody had ever noticed that before. Not even his mother. Especially not Derek. Roman stepped back first like he suddenly realized how intimate the moment became. The distance hurt immediately. Noah hated that too. The drive back to the estate happened after sunset beneath a sky washed dark blue and silver with rain. Neither of them spoke much. But something fundamental had shifted between them inside that ultrasound room. Noah felt it every time Roman glanced toward him from across the SUV. Every time the Alpha unconsciously leaned closer whenever the car turned sharply. Every time Noah caught himself relaxing near him without meaning to. Dangerous emotional attachment. Irreversible now. By the time they returned to the estate, Eva had fallen asleep on the downstairs couch waiting for them. The little girl blinked awake the second Noah stepped inside, then immediately reached both arms toward him. Noah gathered her against his chest automatically while she buried her sleepy face against his neck. Roman stood nearby watching the scene in complete silence. Noah could feel his gaze. Heavy, warm, possessive in a way that no longer felt entirely frightening. You came back, Eva mumbled sleepily. Noah's throat tightened. Of course I did. Roman looked away immediately after that, like the words hit somewhere he didn't want touched. Later that night, Noah found him alone in the kitchen standing barefoot beside the counter with his sleeves rolled up, staring out at the rain beyond the windows. The sight startled Noah more than it should have. Roman looked human like this. Exhausted, quiet, lonely in a way Noah suddenly recognized too well. Roman glanced toward him over one shoulder. You should be sleeping. Noah leaned lightly against the doorway instead. You first. A faint almost smile touched Roman's mouth before disappearing again. Noah's chest ached at how rare that expression felt. Eva likes pancakes with chocolate chips, Noah said softly after a moment. Roman looked confused by the sudden subject change. Okay. You always burn them. Roman stared at him for half a second before laughing quietly under his breath. The sound shocked Noah completely. Low, real, beautiful, and suddenly the massive cold kitchen didn't feel so empty anymore. Noah smiled before he could stop himself. Roman noticed instantly. His pale gray eyes darkened slightly as he looked at Noah across the soft kitchen light and rain-streaked windows. Neither of them moved. Neither of them looked away. Then Roman's phone buzzed sharply against the marble counter. The atmosphere shattered immediately. Roman picked it up, expression changing after reading the message. Cold returning all at once. Noah's stomach dropped. What is it? Roman looked at him too carefully. Someone broke into your old apartment tonight. Noah stopped breathing. Roman's jaw tightened slightly before he added in a quieter voice, and they were looking for ultrasound photos. The first snow of December fell the night Noah finally stopped packing an escape bag. He realized it while standing barefoot in the nursery Roman built with his own hands. Soft gold light glowed across pale blue walls while snow drifted quietly beyond the windows. Everything smelled faintly like cedar wood, baby powder, and fresh paint. Home. The thought still startled him sometimes. Noah rested one hand against the heavy curve of his stomach and breathed slowly through another sharp contraction. 38 weeks now. The baby kicked hard beneath his palm like he already hated being ignored. Noah smiled weakly. Okay. I know. The nursery door opened quietly behind him. Roman stepped inside carrying a folded blanket against one broad shoulder. Dark sweater. Bare feet. Hair slightly messy like he'd run his hands through it too many times already. Noah's chest still tightened every time he looked at him, which felt unfair honestly. Roman crossed the room immediately the second he noticed Noah leaning heavier against the crib. Another one? Noah nodded once. Roman's entire expression sharpened with concern so fast, it almost made Noah laugh. The terrifying alpha feared by half the city still reacted to every contraction like the world was ending. Breathe, Roman said softly, already beside him. Warm hands settled automatically at Noah's waist. Steady, familiar, safe. Noah leaned into him before he could stop himself. Roman's body instantly adjusted around his like it belonged there. Like Noah belonged there too. Dangerous emotional attachments always ended badly. Noah used to believe that with his whole heart. Then Roman Volkov learned how Noah took his tea. Learned which songs calmed the baby when Noah couldn't sleep. Learned how to kneel beside the bathroom floor at 3 in the morning rubbing circles against Noah's spine while morning sickness wrecked him for hours. Love never arrived loudly with Roman. It happened quietly instead. In burnt pancakes. In late-night pharmacy runs during thunderstorms. In the way Roman checked every locked door twice before bed because Noah once admitted he hated sleeping near windows. Noah looked up slowly. "You never told me what happened." Roman frowned slightly. "About what?" "The people searching for the baby." Roman went quiet immediately. Noah knew that silence now. It meant danger. "Roman." The alpha's jaw tightened once before he finally answered. "They wanted leverage." Noah's stomach twisted. "Against you?" Roman's pale gray eyes held his steadily. "Against my family." Family. The word wrapped warmly around Noah's chest before fear could touch it. Roman brushed his thumb slowly beneath Noah's sweatshirt where the baby shifted again. Protective instinct radiated from him so naturally now it almost stopped hurting to witness. Almost. "I spent years believing I wasn't built for this," Roman admitted quietly. Noah blinked in surprise. Roman rarely talked about himself. "For what?" Roman looked down at Noah's stomach beneath his hand, then back at Noah. "Keeping people alive long enough to love them." The confession landed softly. Devastating anyway. Noah stared at him speechless while snow drifted slowly outside the nursery windows. Roman's gaze searched his face carefully like he still wasn't entirely sure he was allowed to say things like that out loud. Noah reached for him first this time, fingers curling gently into the front of Roman's sweater. Roman immediately leaned closer, drawn in without resistance. "You scare me sometimes," Noah whispered honestly. Roman nodded once. "I know, but not when it matters." Something vulnerable cracked open in Roman's expression then, raw enough to steal Noah's breath completely. The next contraction hit hard before either of them spoke again. Noah gasped softly against Roman's chest as pain wrapped sharply through his stomach. Roman reacted instantly. "Hospital. Now." Noah laughed breathlessly despite himself. "That dramatic, huh?" Roman already had one arm around his waist guiding him toward the hallway. "Noah." His voice shook slightly for the first time since they met. "Please don't joke right now." Fear. Real fear. Noah looked up at him in surprise and suddenly understood. Roman wasn't afraid of enemies. Or blood. Or war. He was afraid of losing people he loved before he learned how to keep them. Noah reached up carefully and touched Roman's face, while another contraction tightened painfully through him. "Hey." Roman stopped moving immediately. Noah smiled softly despite the tears burning behind his eyes. "I'm not leaving you." Roman closed his eyes for one brief shattered second like the words physically hurt him. Then he leaned down and pressed his forehead gently against Noah's. Snow continued falling outside around the glowing nursery windows, while downstairs the house remained warm with light and laughter and the smell of pancakes Roman still burned almost every Sunday morning. Full circle. The impossible kind. Hours later, long after midnight swallowed the city whole, Noah woke slowly beneath soft hospital lights to the sound of a newborn crying nearby. Roman sat beside the bed holding their son against his chest with trembling, careful hands.